Hello and welcome to my presentation on polymers as biomaterials. In this presentation, we are going to be looking at what are polymers and how are they used in the context of biomaterials. So before we properly get going, I think it's really important for us to establish what actually is a biomaterial. So a biomaterial is a biological or synthetic substance which can be introduced into the body tissue as part of an implanted medical device or used to replace an organ, bodily function, etc., etc. So it is anything biological or synthetic that is put into the body to help aid the body's functions. A really important feature of a biomaterial is it must be biocompatible. That is, it must be compatible with living tissue and not produce any kind of response that would put your body in danger when it's implanted into you. So, the polymers are used in biomaterials for several different reasons, such as artificial joints, drug delivery, contact lenses, artificial heart valves, and many more things. So, what actually is a polymer? A polymer is a chemical substance consisting of large molecules which are made up from many smaller molecules known as monomers. The process of making a polymer is called polymerization, and we make long chains of these dots which are representing our monomers to produce a longer chain, a polymer chain. So as you can see, we've got a polymer chain here, which is made up of 8 monomers. So we've got two main types of polymerization. We have chain growth and step growth. So chain growth is a 3-step process. We'll look into the 3 steps in a minute, where each monomer is added to the end of a growing chain as so. So individually added one at a time to create a longer chain. This is a linear process, so the length of the polymer increases linearly. Our second type of polymerization is step growth, where any species in the mixture can react with another one. So we can form lots of sets of dimers where we've got 2, and we can form trimers. And then all of these smaller polymer chains join together to again make a longer polymer chain. This process, the length is exponential because it starts by slowly increasing in length. We get lots of small polymer chains, and then as the smaller chains join together, we get a long polymer chain. So for chain growth polymerization, we have our 3-step process, which is formed up of initiation, propagation, and termination. During initiation, we form a reactive species, which is an initiator, which will then react with our first monomer to produce a reactive polymer end chain, where we have this reactive group on the end. This could be a radical or an electrophile, but something that will react with monomers. During the propagation step, this reactive end group on the start of our polymer chain will react with a further monomer to create a longer chain, which will still have this reactive end group, and so on. This will continue until we add in a terminator, which will deactivate the reactive end group, ending the increase in size of our polymer. So, stopping the polymerization. So, back to the uses in biomaterials now that we are aware of what a polymer actually is. So, let's first have a look at artificial joints. So how are polymers used in artificial joints? So the polymer used in artificial joints is often ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. It's currently seen as the best choice of polymer in joint replacement due to its high strength and resistivity to wear, as well as being, as we saw before, it's a very good biocompatible material, which of course is important if you're inserting into the body. It would usually have a value of N, so N being in our polymer chain, how long our polymer chain is, of between 2 to 6 million. hence the name of ultra high molecular weight, because it will have a very high molecular weight. Often, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene will be mixed with a nanofiller material, which will help increase its resistance to wear, such as graphene or carbon nanotubes. Of course, these nanofillers also need to be biocompatible, but increase the chance of the joints lasting the lifetime of a person. Next, let's have a look at drug delivery. So there are two different ways that polymers can be used in drug delivery. First off, we've got hydrogels, which are cross-linked polymer networks which will absorb water or biological fluids. Makes them incredibly biocompatible due to their high water content, as this means they have lots of physical similarities with human tissues. They are able to then encapsulate hydrophilic drugs within them, which means that these drugs can then be delivered into the body in a safe way where they won't be dispersed at the wrong time. It's a very good mechanism of carrying a drug into the body. In addition to this, we also have the use of biodegradable aliphatic polyesters to help you in targeted drug delivery. Previously, with non-degradable polyesters, we had an accumulation of potentially dangerous carriers in the body, which could increase to a risk, which could lead to an increased risk of long-term toxicity, as these carriers will never biodegrade, and so spend a long time in the body, which can cause harmful effects. So this table here shows some of our good carrier polymers and then some of our bad ones. Of course, the bad ones being ones that do not biodegrade, our good ones being biodegradable polyesters. Our third use of polymeric biomaterials is in contact lenses. Now, contact lenses are quite difficult to find suitable materials to make them of, because there are so many factors they have to be ideal to place into the body, place onto the eye. So things like wettability, O2 permeability, water content, mechanical properties, and lens thickness all need to go into the contact lens. So some of the common materials used are polymethyl methacrylate and silicon hydrogels. PMMA, polymethyl methacrylate, is a hard contact lens material, meaning it is used to correct a larger wide range of eye problems. However, it's a lot less comfortable, it's harder to move, it will irritate the eye more, and so isn't ideal for things like water content or O2 permeability. Whereas hydrogels are soft contact lenses. These are a lot more comfortable, can be worn for longer periods of time. However, they aren't used to correct as many types of eye issues. PMMA is a good polymer due to its durability and optical transparency. However, as I just said, it lacks hydrophilic behavior and oxygen permeability. So it's got low O2 content and low water content, which increases the risk of eye health issues. This can be combated by the use of hydrogels. These are hydrophilic, however, they often still do not have a high enough oxygen permeability to be worn for long periods without irritation. The way that has been found to combat this issue is by the use of copolymerization, where we have two different types or multiple types of monomers in the system. So this has been done by using silicon-based monomers and hydrophilic co-monomers. Silicon monomers have a good gas permeability, whereas the hydrophilic co-monomers have that increased water content due to their hydrophilic nature. This produces good silicon hydrogel contact lenses, which can be worn for long periods of time and can be used to correct some eye issues, hence making them a good contact lens material. Our final polymeric biomaterial that we're going to look at is artificial heart valves. So artificial heart valves are often made using polyurethane elastomers. So elastomers are polymers that have both elasticity and viscosity, making them ideal as they can then mimic human tissue. By using these rather than mechanical or tissue heart valves, we reduce the risk of biodegradation and thrombosis. So thrombosis being where there's a buildup of blood clots in arteries, which can lead to stroke, heart attack, as well as other issues, which means that we can then reduce the risk of needing anticoagulation medication, which recipients would have to be on for life. These polyurethane polymers are made using isocyanate and dialcohols to produce the polymer chain. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you feel you have learned something about polymeric biomaterials and about polymers.